A quick introduction of you, and then we will roll. All right, we're live on Facebook. Let me go ahead and record on Zoom. Welcome back to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, Mike C-Roc. It is Monday, and I have a special guest for you guys today. I saw this guest on a mastermind group that we have. Dave popped in for us. He was nice enough to come in and share some of his knowledge and wisdom and helped us out. So I wanted to invite him on to our show. I'm going to give you a quick bio of Dave and then also let you know that I have signed up with his agency. I don't even know if he knows this yet, but he's got a podcasting agency, and I've signed up with him to, make the circuits myself and get on podcasts like I have been. So I'm looking forward to that. But Dave is the co-founder of Sports One Marketing and formerly served as CEO of the renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, which was the inspiration for the movie Jerry Maguire. His life's mission is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. This simple yet powerful mission has led him on an incredible journey to provide one thing: value. Love it, man. In all his content and communication, that's exactly what you'll receive. He is a 3-time international best-selling author, top 100 business coach, the executive producer of Entrepreneur's #1 digital business show, Elevator Pitch, and host to the top entrepreneur podcast, The Playbook. His newest book, Game Time Decision, was a #1 new release. And David has been recognized by Variety Magazine as their Sports Humanitarian of the Year and awarded the Ellis Island Medal of Honor. Dave, welcome to the What Are You Made Of show, man.
I love it, man. I'm so excited to be here. I got D-Roc in my life, and I got C-Roc, so this is perfect.
My name came from my name being real long, and a lot of people don't know how to pronounce it, so I just went with it from college, and it stuck. So we just go with it, man. So listen, the nature of this show is turning setbacks into rocket fuel. And I've heard some of your stories, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with our audience. But the first question I always ask is, Dave, what are you made of?
Kindness. So it's easy for me. I am fueled by kindness. Kindness clears the connection to the rocket fuel, the most powerful source of energy, light, lessons, and love that we are always connected to, that walks besides us and inside us. And so I am full of kindness because that allows me to have do what I need.
And so one of the things I was always wondering when I heard your focus on happy, right? Was that always like that in your life, or did you have a turning point where you said, you know what, I need to start focusing on the right things here?
Yeah, so I've always focused on money. That's why I had that reminder behind me: money doesn't buy happiness. I grew up thinking money does. I grew up with nothing. I lived in a world of not enough as a victim. My mom was a single mom, worked 2 jobs, packed my dinner in a paper bag, and I thought and proved in my life that money bought happiness until I evolved and realized I'd gone from the world of not enough to the world of just enough. I was living in a world that was filled with things that I bought that I didn't need, and people that, I tried to impress that I didn't even like. And I was really filled with all of those things. But what I really sought was to be fulfilled. And I had to go through some setbacks, as you call them. I call them setups, to give me the rocket fuel to use the power that I've been given in order to make room for what I want, to live in a world of more than enough of everything for everyone. And happiness to me, money still plays a key role, but money allows me to have the options to buy stuff that makes me happy, the right things, community centers and scholarships, and the right things for my family, and utilizing non-ego based emotion in order to rocket me into the future for what I want: a fulfilled life, not a filled life.
Now, I'll tell you, the podcast speaker coaching world that we're in is awesome because we get to connect with some great people, some like-minded people. It's kind of like a virtual mastermind in a way. And I'm just thankful. I want to, first of all, thank you for coming on the show. And I'm thankful to have the opportunity to meet people that have been through a lot of the things that guys like you have been through and learn from. And, I'm 43 years old, but I'm relatively new into this arena. I run a mortgage company, by the way, called Nations Lending. And I just, we got that thing up running like a machine, and I wanted to get out and get known and help our business grow this way. So I'm relatively new, like I said, but I'm looking forward to learning from people like you that have been through these stories that you'll share, some here and some that I've heard. And so let me ask you this: when you're younger, getting into sports agencies and what have you. Did you see yourself doing that at one day when you were younger, or how did you get into that? Let's start there.
Yeah. So for me, I wanted to play, right? I just sucked. So for me, my potential led me to Division III football, and I was an average player, way above. I extended out. If I in business, if I could reach the potential that I reached in football, I'd be a billionaire already.
Wait a minute, where did you play?
I played Occidental College. We were actually pretty good for Division III, but in LA, but to that end, I love sports. I always dreamed of maybe somehow utilizing sports as a business. I went to law school. When I went to law school, it was funny. I originally thought I'd be a sports agent, but I traveled. I worked for Major League Baseball in the summer before, and that's when I realized, man, this is not a good job. I saw the real insides of sports, and there was no money, and I was money driven. In order to get the real money, you either had to play or be an owner or front office guy. And it was just not what I was set out to be at. So I went and switched to oil and gas litigator and wanted, because those guys paid right out of law school. You could make, there was no working your way up from the sales ticket side. It was like literally six figures right out of law school. So I was money driven. The funny thing was, all throughout my career, and I made $1 million 9 months out of law school. I was a multimillionaire into my 20s. I just surrounded myself with sports, right? I bought suites, and I sponsored things, and I went hospitality to the Masters and all the things, which really, it was funny because I understood the business as a customer. I hired guys to do appearances and speaking engagements. And so when I got the unique opportunity after I was CEO of the world's first smartphone, I, made my real multi-millions in technology. I met Leigh Steinberg, the most notable sports agent in the world. And because I developed skills, because I had the knowledge, and I always had the must be what I can be attitude like you do, C-Roc, that's the real catalyst, or, to me, that's what gets you started. The real motivated is your attitude. Leigh Steinberg loved me and hired me as an executive. So in the overnight, I manifested my ability to be literally the leader of the most notable sports agency in the world, coming from a VC technology investment background.
It's crazy, man. It's just crazy. You look back on it. Do you look back on it and say, holy shit, that was a crazy ride?
Yeah, well, it's great because I tell people all the time, you connect the dots backwards, not forward. What you do is focus in on your capabilities. I focused on my capabilities my whole career to make money, but for different reasons, right? I did it to buy happiness and to buy respect and love and all those things the first jaunt. Now I, of course, buy it so I can shop for the right things to help people and to make room for what I want. But regardless, I connect the dot backwards. If I would describe, if someone said to you, so how'd you get to run the most notable sports agency in the world, or start a business with Warren Moon that's, global and notoriety? And I'd say, well, it started me wanting to be a professional football player. Then I sold legal research online. Then I was in the middleware space. And then I was in the phone business. And then I invested in a golf course in a ski mountain. And then I became CEO of the most notable sports agent. Like, come on, man. But what it is capabilities, skills. I always was hungry, like I said, to develop my skills and knowledge. I'm thirsty. My brother told me when I was in college, be more interested than interesting. So all the time, and it'll help you in the podcast business because you're this way, C-Roc. You're more interested than interesting, right? The guys that are just trying to be interesting, nobody wants to hear, right?
Yeah.
Especially, like my whole show is the playbook, right? That's your playbook to success, not mine. Right. I wanted to call it dummy tax, but I thought it would scare people away. But what the playbook is really, hey, tell me the dummy tax that you paid. But capabilities, knowledge, skills, and of course, desire. Man, people ask me all the time, and anyone that's looked up the stuff that I've done, I've surrounded myself with the greatest names, sports business, politics, writing, authors, speakers, the biggest names. One common denominator. It's real simple. All of them must be what they can be, period. That's the one thing that allows them to enjoy the consistent, persistent pursuit of their potential. They're not quitters.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between believing and knowing. And so I've always known that I was going to do something great one day. I didn't know what it was. And when about 2 years ago, I became aware of what my mission is. And I've had this burning fire since I was 11 years old when I felt like my dad gave up on me. He was my hero, threw $100 bill at me. There's a story that goes along with that. I'll save that for later. But That I realized that was what was burning inside of me. I'm like, I'm not going to let him win, and I'm going to help other people that have been given up on. But I became aware. The difference is when something's burning inside you to keep driving, but then you become aware of why. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like it's 2020 vision. It's perfectly clear, HD, as they say, compared to the old standard definition TVs. And then you're like, okay, now I got this. Now I don't just believe. Now I know. And that difference right there is huge. Like there's such a big gap between the two. But then I want to share it with other people because you can't. Like I'm the type of guy that's just so excited when something happens, a breakthrough in my life, that I want to share it with others. And so that's where I am on my mission right now over the last year. And I see other people doing this, and I see that it never gets old. Like for you, since you've been doing this in the coaching scene and the speaking, has it gotten old at all? Like it's
No, I like you, man. I kept evolving my mission, right? You're just a few years behind where I was, and you're doing a terrific job. I set off now to empower over 1 billion people to be happy, right? So for me, it's finding 1,000 people like C-Roc who I know will empower 1,000 people to empower 1,000 people, right? 1,000 times 1,000 is a million, million times 1,000 is a billion. If I can empower you to empower those people, and I can change the world, just meager, humble myself, empower over 1 billion people to teach them how to be happy like you can, man, the whole world will change, a completely abundant world. And that's why I started, for the last 20 years, I've been doing trainings on Friday. And the best thing that occurred with COVID for me is that I went virtual with my training. So they're not just, 100 people buying them lunch every Friday, showing up at some training center, around the country or even world sometimes. But now online, now we got thousands of people learning all the gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, inspirational tools, techniques, philosophies, theories, everything that I've learned, the dummy tax that I paid. And I am driven more than ever, like you said, because I now have a vehicle that everybody around the world can join me every Friday or watch the replay. And it's been the best thing. And it wouldn't happen but for the fact that I took a step back and said, look, if you really want to get to 1,000 C-Rocs in the world, you're to C notes, I need C-Rocs. I used to want C notes. Now I want more C-Rocs to empower more people. And boom, this gift came where everybody became more acclimated to doing this stuff online, and thousands of people every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, join me.
Yeah. And for you, the money, forget about the money because you have plenty of money, right? The fulfillment that comes from it. You're helping other people, but you're getting a lot out of it too. And you're learning a lot, right?
Oh yeah. Well, that's my favorite thing about coaching. Do you do any coaching yet? Because I know you will. Yep. Yeah. So my favorite thing about coaching, and here's my moments that I love. And, I'm blessed because I have, CEOs of billion-dollar companies that I coach, down to, startup guys too. But I carry 50 clients at all time, month to month, and guarantee profitability. But my favorite time is I may be coaching you and I'll give you some advice, right? And in my head, while I'm giving you this advice, I'm like, man, that's good advice. I should really take that advice. Why aren't I doing it? Like, I almost feel guilty, because I got some clients that pay me a ton of money because I guarantee profitability. Why wouldn't they? If I'm going to charge you 50 grand in a month, you're going to make 100 grand or more. Yep. I don't mess around. It's profitable. It's quantitative. Subjective value, is Barney, right? I love you. You love me. Nobody makes any money. You all feel good, but it's a joke. I'm into money. Well, anyway, when you get down to that tax, it's amazing because you sit there and go, oh my gosh, I'm learning so much from myself even, let alone the other person.
Yeah. That's so true, man. And you don't have to be 100% perfect with what you're telling the people yourself, because sometimes people fight with that. They're so afraid to coach other people or offer advice to people because they doubt themselves in those areas. And that's like nobody would ever coach anybody if that was the case, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at like I'm blessed to have this, background in sports, right? You think Belichick, knows more about playing quarterback than Tom Brady? No, but he has an outside zoom in, zoom out perspective, and he has extreme knowledge of what he knows. But it doesn't mean that he knows more than Tom Brady, right? It doesn't mean he's always right. But the collaborative together, the commandments, as I call them, most people think commanding is demanding. So Bill Belichick commands his offense and his defense, meaning he works with them. And as a coach, we're there looking as an extra set of eyes, an extra set of ears, nose, mouth, and touch, an extra memory that's applying to what is really feeble senses and a feeble memory. When we're participating, it's even more distracted. So if we're participating in our life and you have a sideline coach over here watching your life, of course they're going to be able to give you good advice, right?
Yep,
of course,
yep.
Just the same way, very few coaches can actually perform as well as the people they're coaching, but they have an extra set of eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and touch and memory that is applicable with that zoom in, zoom out approach.
Right. Now you have a lot on your plate, and I heard you talk about this in the mastermind. I'd like to, if you could share with the audience, when you get a lot on your plate and then you keep adding on, you have a little trick that you do to squeeze time out of the day.
Yeah. So for me, I'm always looking to squeeze 4 minutes, right? So I look at things by what do I do every minute, every day, every week, every month. And because every 4 minutes that you save is every 4 minutes you save is 2 days a year in time, right? So I always joke around, but my biggest gift that I give on these shows to guests is I can give them 2 weeks vacation immediately. I was like, what? I was like, yeah. Make sure after this show that you find a place, take the time to find a place to always put your keys, your phone, and your wallet. 80 hours a year on average, people waste looking for their phone, their keys, and their wallet. I just saved you 40 full work weeks of time you won't have to spend. I picked, here's my newest one, because people are like, oh, that's bullshit. I'm like, no, it's not. I just figured out one 4-minute thing. I never clip my ear pods, right? And I work out with ear pods and I use them. Well, I realized that I'm wasting about 4 minutes a day untangling ear pods on average because I don't clip them and put them. So now I started to do that. I'm like, boom, just picked up a whole bunch of hours in my life.
Hold on. I got to help you. I don't even have mine, but don't you have the wireless ones?
Yeah, I do too. But I don't jog with them. I'm still a little bit worried. I actually jog with an iPod Shuffle. Most of you guys probably don't even know what that is. Yeah. Tiny little square thing that shuffles Wayne Dyer. It shuffles Wayne Dyer, A Course in Miracles, and like odd rap songs. So it'll go from like Wayne Dyer talking about the power of intention into Snoop Dogg. It's awesome.
Oh, I love it, man. Well, you know what? Funny thing is, though, after that mastermind, I have a little bowl over here now, and I do keep my keys in there now. I feel like so ridiculous because it's like, come on, man. I'm where I am in my business right now, and I had to like get like a little bit of advice where I put my keys. It's just like, come on, man. But I'm doing it. I'm coachable. So, but anyway, listen. So I know people listening. There's a fine line between going after your goals and being serious, because I'm intense a lot, man. And I think on this podcast, matter of fact, I'm smiling and laughing a little more than I usually do. But I recently hired a coach just for, like, I have several coaches in my life, right? Different areas, my trainer, all this. But I recently worked with a coach right now. I'm getting ready to meet with her for the first time this week. That's going to help interject a little bit of comedy in my story, my signature story, because I feel like I'm too intense sometimes, man. And I want to get a little bit creative with it. And then I'm behind the scenes with people. I'm very transparent, let people know I'm not going to just do this and then my story is going to come out. It's going to be funnier or more funny. So I'm starting to work with that. But there's a fine line between being very intense and goal-oriented and really go after it, and then also joking and being happy a little bit, right? So when you're working with executives, CEOs, and, big timers, I know there's a lot of intense dudes out there that really, they're not happy, right?
Yeah. And it's a blend, right? Like what I try to do is understand where we are on the spectrum, or a blend, or a frequency. And so to understand where people are first and meet them where they are, and then allow them to have consistent, persistent behavior as a practice in order to move in the direction that they want to move. One of the key components that I teach people is called segmentation. Segmentation is what happens to people when we evolve. We don't see it. And the best analogy I can use, C-Roc, you have kids, right?
Yep.
So when we're, especially now that we're home with our kids, we don't see them growing at all. We don't see it at all. The only time we see what's going on is when you got to go buy that new pair of shoes every 3 weeks, going, hey, wait, how the heck did you go up a whole size, not even a half a size, in 3 weeks? Yep, but then the grandparents come over and they start crying because they're like, oh my God, Miles is so big. And you're like, what are you talking about? He's the same size. This is what happens no matter what level of intensity or execution you're at as an executive, a startup, entrepreneur, wherever you are. Segmentation is so important because we don't realize how much we're accelerating and growing. And that's why people quit. My training this Friday is about people quitting. And the reason people quit is they get to 25% of the way where they want to be, and they have no clue that they've moved at all. So they start saying they're stuck. and they start putting their focus and attention on what they don't want. And they start voting for what other people want for them. And they start actually getting all the things that other people want and all the things that they don't want. And then that just reinforces why they quit. 99% of the people quit at 25% of the way there. In half as much time, they get to 50% of the way there. Once again, not knowing how much they've actually grown, not knowing that it's speeding up as well. Now, 99% of the 1% quit for the exact same reasons again. And the saddest thing is there's still only half as much time from being 100% of the way there. That's the 1% of the 1%, the non-quitters of the world that know segmentation, that can say to themselves, and this is how I would coach you on your program. All you need is in your first segment, whatever it's a year, a month, a show, whatever you want, get 2 ambassadors. And an ambassador is someone that will get you 2 more people that say, you got to check out C-Roc, his show's awesome. And if you can do that, go ahead, do the math on 20 segments. It goes to 2 million ambassadors, getting you 2 million ambassadors. Talk about building your brand and driving your business and empowering other people. But the problem is most people after 5 segments, right, they're 25% of the way there. They see that they have 16 ambassadors and it took the longest time to get there. It takes more time to get to 16 than it does to get to the last million because of segmentation, acceleration, and growth. So what they do is they start voting for what they don't want, right? They call themselves stuck because they can't feel the growth. They're looking at their kid going, he's never going to be 6 feet tall. He hasn't grown in the first 6, right? And if they had no tennis shoes to prove it, they would never see the growth all the way till they were married.
So true, man. So true. And the thing is, I'll tell you what, then what happens, I'm a golfer, and you start like not shooting scores that you want, right? And you're not seeing difference. And then you start tweaking things just a little bit, right? You do a little twist of your grip, a little close of the faces. And before you know it, your swing's all out of whack. You lost all your progress, right? It's a similar thing.
I told my wife, first time I ever broke 80, after that, I said I screwed myself. Because every time I didn't break 80 again, I thought I saw it, and I started changing things. And I went from a 9 right back to a 15, trying to fix something that wasn't broke.
Yeah, look, I got down to like a 3 something right before the wintertime. And then we had COVID. And then I just played in the tournament this past weekend. And I'm playing as a 4. And these guys have been playing through COVID somehow, going to another state across state lines. I had no chance. So I just went out and had fun and hit a couple good shots. But yeah, that little tinker thing, it happens in your life as well. So, and another thing on the segmentation situation, I've been telling my team at the mortgage company, and we're seeing it now. We went from 4 million in loan volume in a year to 32 million. Okay. That segmentation works, but it's the thing where it's the snowball. I use the snowball analogy, snowball going down the hill, or I just recently switched it because it's the rocket fuel with Waymo to getting into orbit, getting out of gravitational pull. And I talked to Grant about this the other day, and then he brought it up on Tim's story last night. I'm like, come on, man, you're stealing my stuff, Grant. But getting into orbit, when you get into orbit, right, that's a whole different world because you're not a commercial airliner still having to use jet propulsion. You're out there. And that's where we're shooting for. Now, not just in the mortgage company, but I want everybody that I touch and work with, I want to get them into orbit, man. And so for you, where was the point where you noticed, now you may not feel that you're there yet, but there was some point where you got to where you felt like gravitational pull is not there anymore. I can be happy and I can show other people how to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's been on a 13-year journey. And I think just most recently in the last 3 years when I started to build my own brand. So, 3 years ago, Super Bowl, 3.5 years ago now, I was where you're at, right? Just starting kind of to get onto the scene and realize what a perfect time to brand myself, to help other people, to make a lot of money, help people, and have fun. And when I started that segmentation of ambassadorship, of empowering others to empower others, through the journey, I would say probably here since January, I felt like I broke through where like everybody, it's all coming to me. I'm not, pushing or pulling. It's just, I'm in this neutral zone and allowing everything just to come to me. And I'll give you a real pragmatic example. I posted something last night that moved me. It was a great video about a guy that saved 669 kids from Czech to UK during the Holocaust in 1938. It's one of those tearjerker videos. You cannot watch the thing without crying, unless you don't have a heart. And it's been out there. Like people had seen it before. Well, because you build an audience, right, and you have a community now, You post that, it gets 200,000 views, right? It gets more, like I'll put a ton of money and time into building an instructional video for free, put it up there. It might get 50 or 100,000 views. This thing skyrocketed. But I came back to my team. I said, yeah, but don't you understand what we did to build a community, right? We're in neutral, right? That community will feed off of the frequency, and you continue feed it, and it'll keep growing now by, as you said, like your mortgage company. How long did it take to get to 4 million in business, right? All those years of dummy tax, it goes from 4 million to 32 million, right? And now you're kind of breaking through, and it's like, I got to figure out how to handle all the business, not get the business.
Yep, exactly. People are coming, we're not going to look for it. We still preach, go after it, because we don't get comfortable, but it's like people come find you. And Tim said that to me too the other day. He's like, look, he said, I didn't have to go look for people. You keep doing your thing, C-Roc, and people will come find you. And so that's why I keep my head down. I'm very impatient by nature. I want it now. And I think I have a feeling that you were like that at some point too.
Yeah. Attach your emotions to enjoying the journey part, right? I would say attach your emotions to the pursuit, not the outcome.
Well,
right?
See, sometimes, but if you get like that, I have this thing in the back of my mind. If I do that, that's sitting back and not going after it.
Oh,
so
no,
that,
I'm a ferocious
that.
Buddha, bro. I'm a ferocious Buddha. I'm ferocious about going after it, but I'm Buddhist about allowing it to happen. I'm ferocious about making room for what I want. I'm ferocious about providing for other people, but I just allow it after I, have that tiger mentality, allow it to happen.
Right. Okay. Well, listen, they gave me 30 minutes. So I got one more thing I want to ask you before we go. That was some great content, by the way, but I want to hear a good story from when you were in the sporting world. Well, you're still in the sporting world, but you told one on the Mastermind. You could tell that one about Little John, or you could tell some other one. But give me something good for the audience.
I got to just tell you my best story, because it changed my life. My dad left when I was 5. He was my hero, and forgot my birthday when I was 10. And it broke my heart, because I realized he was a liar, a cheater, manipulator, back-end seller. It's a guy that made money. I used to tell my mom, why can't you be more like dad? Meanwhile, I wasn't even paying child support. And she sat there humbly. At 30 years old, my life changed, because my dad was the first. I was a millionaire 9 months out of law school, multimillionaire at 30, married my dream girl, had a house, cars that you wouldn't believe, golf course, ski. I mean, real money, and my dad was the first person ever to tell me the truth. Everyone in my life was telling me what I wanted to hear. I was trading for everything. Money bought me happiness and love. My dad sent me a jacket, a sport coat, for my 30th birthday. First gift in 20 years. I was so excited when I put it on, because it fit, that I cried. And my wife's like, why are you crying? I said, my dad finally gets it. I'm going to be able to have a real relationship with my father, which is more than anything that I wanted. And then I opened the jacket, and he had torn out all the pockets and lining. I immediately got so pissed, ego-driven, competitive, not where I am today, 30 years old. I'm 52. And I called my dad, and I'm like, why are you punishing me? He said, what are you talking about? I said, you send a gift after 20 years and I can't even wear it. He said, it's not for wearing. I said, what do you mean it's not for wearing? He said, it's to hang in your closet till you die. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you can be buried in that jacket. It has no pockets, because you can't take anything with you when you're gone. You're just like me, son. Money doesn't buy happiness or love. You can't take anything with you. That jacket's going to remind you every day that money can't buy you love or happiness. And I said to him, F you. What are you talking about? I'm nothing like you. You're a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, a back-end seller. I'm yelling. 2 years later, I come home one time, 5:30 in the morning, and intoxicated, high, everything. My wife is waiting for me. No one's ever told me anything but my dad, that anything but yes, how great I was, for literally since I was 22 years old. I was Midas. Anyway, my wife tells me, not happy. She tells she's going to leave me. That I better take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become. Or not only was she leaving, but I was going to be dead. I go scream at her, how dare her say that to me? So offended. Then I go to bed. I wake up more offended, ready to take everything from her. I'm calling a lawyer. I'm going to take all the money, the kids, the cars, the golf course, everything from her. I'm so pissed. Then I look in the closet, and there's that jacket. Literally, man, I barely tell the story without choking up, because I looked at that jacket and realized I hate my father for only one reason, because I hate myself. I was exactly like my dad. I was a liar, a cheater, manipulator, overseller, back-end seller. And that day is the day that I started practicing ending fear, practicing radical humility, practicing gratitude, forgiveness, accountability, understanding, inspiration. It's been 14 years. I still practice it every day. I'm a hypocrite. I'm not good at it. I forget every lesson I've ever learned. I want people to know that, but I'm better than I was. I got another sign that says 1% better.
Right.
I'm a little bit better every day. And that's because I believe in segmentation. I believe in being kind. I believe in enjoying the consistent, persistent pursuit of my potential. And I want other people to know, man, your jacket has no pockets. Just do your best. Be kind to your future self, do good deeds, make a lot of money, help a lot of people, have a lot of fun, and you will be happy. And help me. Come Friday to my trainings. It's free. I'll help you empower others to be happy.
Yeah. So that's what I want to the audience. Everybody go Fridays, and anything else you want to throw out there, Dave?
No, you can text me 949-298-2905 for anything. I give away all my books. I give away training for free. I am of service and of value. I will help you in one way or another. So please reach out.
All right. We're going to get together with for some golf as soon as this thing breaks. And
you got it. I'll let you beat me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Dave. I really appreciate it, man.
No problem.
And you guys have been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast with your boy, Mike C-Roc. Please go subscribe on podcast platforms and YouTube. Mike C-Roc Sirocco. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I can't do this without your support. I appreciate all of you and love all of you.